Professor Gola, you asked us at some stage to smile. And you obviously found it was not easy. Matters before us today are so heavy that we should be forgiven for not smiling at each other. Be that as it may, before I make one or two remarks, I want to give apologies of our other colleagues who are not here, representing the united opposition. Although I see that the website is talk about loyal opposition. I don't know whether the Secretariat can do something about this, so we are all in sync. Bring your greetings from our sister, Mother Karua, who had to travel. I think we should give her a clap because we know she very well represented by our own Secretary General of People's Liberation Party, Asha Bashir. And we have, of course, our other friends, Mheshimiwa Fred Matiang'i. I spoke to him last night.
Week
Bring
on
your
Wednesday,
greetings from our sister,
my mother was planned
Mother
by the state,
Karua, who had to travel. I think we should give her a clap because we know she
I say this because
very well represented by our own Secretary General
was
out of People's Liberation Party, Asha Bashir.
And beforehand, because we knew the character of our governor,
also known in justice,
we wrote
because I think
and called all the security agencies within Isiolo,
like
including the Inspector General, the Deputy Inspector General, the Regional Police Command, to ask for security.
He broke his leg.
They all assured us of the security.
You remember the story? That time was
officers came
we were on our journey to Canada,
but they did
but
nothing.
we got to River Jordan,
nothing.
And there were crocodiles. I think I've managed to give you a smile. So Robert Bui was bitten by a crocodile.
To the extent that my offices
listening
was vandalized.
To what has happened.
The county assembly chambers, just after we were done with the tabling of the notice, now, it was vandalized.
We might end up with
goons supervised by the governor himself, escorted by senior police officers.
So a story. This Ufungamano who gave us
those bad things to us.
Both men and women from the churches, from the civil society, were able to be bold enough. That's how we ended
now they are
up
trying to plot me
Article 2A of the Constitution. Was it?
And on that day, there will be bloodshed in Isiolo.
Allowing for pluralism.
And on that day, there will be bloodshed in Isiolo.
Which is now under threat.
Why do you say there will be bloodshed? Because
so it is to Fungamano we have come
insisting on using all the means to stop the process.
You said we have no agenda.
To be discussed on the motion.
We have one clear agenda
kindly,
today.
This must be
highlighted, and that is justice.
Because we are telling you in advance that our lives will be in danger. Our lives are in danger. And
now follow suit.
That there will be bloodshed in Isiolo.
The first
courtesy of governor trying to
world over.
To stop us from
Look at Brazil.
exercising our jobs.
Was
This
funded
what
to start
we have
the People's
Commission.
This People's Commission is
many
not
people,
an
many governors
act
who are impeached.
in vanity or indeed acting in vain. Look at the quality of his leadership.
There was no complaint.
Justin Biden, I've heard of a new name, Biden.
That
Muturi, JB. That's why the B comes from, the JB.
We also realized that the officers at this station
my landed friend here, my brother,
had no record
Eugene,
of any of the facts
the name
that
was
occurred
it
last week.
aflatoxin? No. Something along those lines. I'm trying to give you a smile, at least. And so, agenda number one, the work of this commission, I think is not even time bound,
able to respond
because
to
we are talking about the next administration.
With a short
what you are telling William
indicating
Ruto is our agenda item number one will be justice for Rex Masai and justice for all those young Kenyans who have been failed by police bullets simply because they exercise their constitutional rights under Article 37. And now we pray to God that if you have a heart not of stone but of flesh, you don't kill them again tomorrow. Don't kill them. We are telling William Ruto, don't kill these young people tomorrow, because the world is watching
This time,
we want to thank the international community. They have come out with a very clear statement.
For another offense.
Kenya is not an island. It is one nation among the community of nations. We will not allow you, therefore, to get away scot-free. As we speak, at least by the time I got here, I had information that 4,500 goons were meeting in City Hall, preparing to go and murder and maim and kill the framers of Constitution 2010 and Article 1 on the sovereignty of the people. Never envisioned that so many years, 15 years down the line, there'll be men meeting in Taifa Hall somewhere under the chief goon, who I think is the one preparing them, to come and do other things. This commission is so bold. You cannot actually terrorize any of these four people. Justin Muturi and your team, you have your work cut out. When we talk about state capture, we mean it. Kenyans are still waiting to hear fertilizer fake. And the Andani deals continue. Economic sabotage, economic manipulation, which actually, as we speak, is part of Shashi. We will have to go deep into those things so that as we form the next government, we will know what to do with those economic saboteurs. Well, Philip Kishia, Philip, I heard you loud and clear. By the way, the 4,500 goons are joined by 5,000 police officers. All right? And they're even planning to exchange uniform with the goons. What they're actually trying to do is to make sure that Goon A knows how Goon B will look like tomorrow. Shame on you. Shame on you. So we are watching, and the country is watching. All the parents want, and Kenyans, because mtoto akizaliwa sio baba yake ama mama yake peke yake. Mtoto ni wa jamii. Watoto wa jamii ya Kenya, wazazi wa watoto wa Kenya, jamii zote wanadai haki kwa watoto wao, ambao tumeona hapa. Bob, you remember we even tried to catch up with you at some stage. We caught up, we went to court, we tried action, but this is real action. Real action. And so, please feel free to come out before these very competent men and women who are there to make sure justice is done, and this commission, therefore, is a precursor to the pursuit of justice for every Kenyan under Constitution 2010. I therefore would want to really conclude my remarks because they're brief. We've been given the wherewithal and what exactly we want to do. Tomorrow, we're going to sit and see. Let there be peaceful demonstrations. Let there be peaceful demonstrations. Kenyans will remember that we were actually bold and said tomorrow is a public holiday. If anybody was doubting, William Ruto has himself confirmed that tomorrow is a public holiday. In honor of our young Kenyans. And I can't understand, truly, I would take a lot of convincing by people who are with us in the struggle for justice. In 2023, Raila Odinga and I and Eugene and Mother were nearly killed. 60 young Kenyans were felled. And 2024, young people did better than us. They breached the Central Business District. How can we disown those young people for pecuniary gain, for money? It can't be for fame. It can only be for infamy. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very difficult moment. I've seen Minister Murkomen saying they are willing now to meet with the parents of the victims. the victims, they are willing. They are willing one day to the commemoration day. Who can take you seriously? I think this commissioner will ensure that not only justice, but compensation. We demand compensation now for every victim. Compensation now, and it's not a favor. In fact, you should let the names come quickly before you, Justin, and your team. You should be the ones to administer. Who can trust these people? Who can trust them? The trust deficit is so enormous that nobody can trust them. They say, no, we're prepared to discuss, to listen to the parents. Where have you been? Justice delayed is justice denied. So a very famous English jurist mentioned that time, Lord Denning. You delay justice, you've denied justice to Kenyans. And therefore, we will stand in solidarity. Long live Kenya, long live this commission. You know, they will not sleep. They have been found out. Because this is not a joke. And so we'll be calling them out as we go. Of course, we have other issues to deal with. Even look at the corruption in the housing, so-called affordable housing. Unveil it. In fact, that is the easiest thing. That's what we are always saying, the next administration, executive order number 1, do away with housing tax. And of course, as we do so, you'll be on their tails. You'll be holding them. You'll be holding them. Messed up education system. How can we have a country where Kenyans don't know how they're waking up tomorrow? And we saw them, representatives of the suffering people of this land. But God will shine. The sun will rise tomorrow, and we shall go and lay the wreaths in remembrance of these children. We've given notice. We've given adequate notice. Wakili Ndegwanjiru, you remember we asked him to do it. Notice to the police. And now, if you're in charge of, we thought the Green Army was well meant. Kumbe is Sakaja's Green Army, creating Haiti-like gangs. We will not allow Kenya to go the Haiti way. It will not happen. We will get you out first. God bless you. I asked my brother Eugene Ramala to come and say, make his few remarks.
And the victims of the extrajudicial killings of this regime, the abductions, the torture, Bob Njagi and the Kitengela 3, and your colleagues. We know the trauma you went through, and it's a year. Tomorrow we'll be marking that day. And I listened to the father of Shakil at the All Saints Cathedral. We listened to the mother of the youngest victims of them all. He was only 12 years, Kennedy Onyango. This boy was shot in Rongai. His little body took many bullets. And when the president was asked about the boy, he said, the boy is alive, right? Kennedy Onyango's story was very moving at the All Saints Cathedral, and many others, Denzel Mondi's parents, and all those who are suffering. A year later, no justice, no compensation. And it reminds me of one of the poets, Jonathan Carriara. He wrote a poem, and he called it Grass Will Grow. And it was a poem by a parent mourning the loss of a child. They said, Lord, if you have taken my child away, then give me strength to dig his grave. And Lord, send me a little rain, for grass will grow. But he said, Lord, do not send me madness. I asked for tears, but do not send me moon-hard madness to put a snag in my skull. It's as if Jonathan Kariara was one of the parents here. One of the parents whose children had bullets lodged in their skulls, had their brains splattered on the people's house in Parliament and on the streets. They did not aim at the legs or the arms to disable. They aimed at the head. They splashed their brains and they killed them. A year later, no justice. Those who went out in 2023 during the Azimio protests, 75 young people were killed. One was Brian in Nyalenda with his brother. They were beaten, dragged out of their homes and killed. Just like Brian, who was killed, I think it was the Sultan Hamoud went with His Excellency to bury the young Brian. We cannot forget these young people. They've been waiting for justice for 2 years. But do you expect justice from the Ruto regime? Do you expect justice from the Ruto regime? A regime that will pick a young man, Albert Ojwang, from Homa Bay, bring him to Nairobi, less than a kilometer from where we sit, Central Police Station, they murdered the young man. Then they said he had committed suicide, that he banged his head on the wall until he died. Can you believe such a regime? A regime that shot young people in Kitengela, Charles Owino, Shaquille and his colleagues. Then they hide the bodies and say, these were car accident victims from Juja, and they cover up. We've heard today from Shaquille's parents. They tried to cover up, but they went and found out what had happened. Can you trust a regime like that to do justice? If they were covering up, the police bullets, if they had not been found lodged in the heads of these young people, we would never have known their story. And that is why today I want to thank, I don't know where Ben is, and the young people, the brains behind this organization. We salute you and we salute all the courageous young people who through their brilliant ideas such as this, and through their rage, backed by their courage, who came out to face this ignoble regime. Today, we also thank J.B. Muturi and this team for accepting to take the onerous task, because it is not easy. And just starting from what we have heard here, there are many Kenyans whose stories are still untold, who would want to come up and open up and speak and let their stories be heard, because this government will always try to cover up the truth. But through a system that we are setting up, truth will come out and justice will be done. And even if it's not done by this regime, as your incoming government, we want to give you our word, justice will be done. So the work you'll be doing is not just academic work. From what you're doing in the next 12 or 15 or so months, we have no doubt from every corner of Kenya, we have heard Kenyans speaking loud and clear that this regime will be a one-term regime. And if it's a one-term regime, it means it's a regime that has less than 2 years. By the time this commission completes its work, we will be ready under the new regime to implement the work that you are going to be doing. And we will, because one thing we have said as the People's United Opposition, there are 3 things we are seeking. Unity, liberation of this country from this corrupt, bloodletting regime. But the last thing we must do is restore our country and its lost glory. And the process of restoration starts with plans such as this. Because justice cannot be done by this regime. We need to restore hope by the people of this republic in our key institutions, the judiciary, parliament that has been captured. There's completely loss of faith in this parliament because it was captured. So today, even as we launch this commission on the restoration of justice, we want to say we must learn from our lessons. I was the Minister of Justice in the Kibaki regime, and when I took over that ministry, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission had been paralyzed. There was an attempt to abort that commission, the Kiplagat, Ambassador Kiplagat Commission. We were able to work around the clock to get the TJRC Commission to complete its work, to compile its report, and to submit this report to the President, Mwai Kibaki, Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga. I was a member of the 10th Parliament, and J.B. Muturi is right, because after that report was presented, in the 11th Parliament, some things happened that actually made sure that report was never implemented. These are some of the steps we must take outside the regime that is unwilling to do justice, and through such innovative means, we will be able to achieve it. We are hearing a president give an empty apology, a conditional apology to the Gen Zs. And that president does not want to face the truth. I've heard him today talk about peace and security and tell the police of Kenya he's 100% behind them. He has confidence in them. You do recall a year ago, after the Gen Z killings, that same president came out and said there was a gang of dangerous criminals who wanted to overthrow his government. And he said the police did a commendable job. He congratulated the police for the killings and the work they did, killing our young Kenyans. A year later, on the eve of the commemoration, he has today at State House hosted the same police and commended them for the good work they're doing. And he has told them he's 100% behind them. To me, this president has given the signal to the police to do tomorrow what they did best on the 25th of June last year. He unleashed the police on the people. He unleashed the military on the people. Today, as we speak, we've heard from His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. Over 4,000 goons have been hired. How desperate can you be, Bwana Ruto? Shame on you. Shame on you. That you can unleash the rogue police on your citizens. Even deploy the military against your citizens. A year later, KDF stands deployed against the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Anywhere within this republic today, William Ruto, because of the parliament that's under capture, has a blank check to deploy the military against any citizen in any of our 47 counties. God forbid if Bwana Ruto, you want to use the military tomorrow. If you want to use the police in the manner you used them last year. And if you and your teams want to deploy goons against these children, all we are asking, as Jonathan Carriera said, is that, Lord, give us the strength. Give the parents the strength to come out tomorrow and mourn their children. To come out and have the strength to lay flowers at the gates of Parliament, to commemorate their children. And in this endeavor, as the People's United Opposition, we will stand with you, the families, the victims. We will walk with you tomorrow. And we're asking the police to do what they are supposed to do constitutionally. Don't criminalize protests, demonstrations that are rights guaranteed by Article 37 of our Constitution. Your work is to escort and provide security for the demonstrators. It is not to shoot and to kill innocent unarmed protesters. So tomorrow the world will be watching. We appreciate and welcome the strong statement by the international community. All the diplomats have said to Bwana Ruto, demonstrations are guaranteed by your constitution. Allow Kenyans to protest peacefully tomorrow. As the People's United Opposition, we ask all of you who come out tomorrow to do so peacefully. Don't come armed. While the Gen Zs did it, if anything, just your phone and a flag of
there was no bloodshed.
As they did it.
Why is it
anyone who comes out armed with any machetes, know that he's not one of us. He's one of the 4,000 goons, state-sponsored goons. And the people dealt with them last time. I'm sure you who has been given 500 shillings to come tomorrow to rough up the protesters, you will meet your fate. You will meet your fate.
There was no complainant.
Let me not say more than that. I just want to thank you once more.
That particular
and to say
solo.
Congratulations, JB. And to say
we also
you are one of the
officers at this
victims.
station
Your son was abducted.
Had no record
When
of
you leave
any of the
this
facts
commission,
that occurred last week.
You are doing it on behalf of many
that regard,
parents who felt your pain, who felt your pinch.
were able to
we
respond
ensure
to their
that
queries
justice remains our shield.
with a short statement indicating that it will be right for the queries to be answered
and you said you are going to march
in Isiolo to the investigating
be
officers.
arrested from your house and
The DCIO here agreed with us
people are not allowed to demonstrate in
and
the White House.
was able to release the speaker.
Murkomen went to school.
Shortly after that,
If you're in Washington,
another instructions came from Nairobi.
there are demonstrations outside the White House.
This time indicating that the speaker was meant to be under arrest for another offense. The offense was disclosed to us as attempted murder.
Who do not support the war, who want to see peace in the Middle East.
The police are saboting the presidency of His Excellency William Samoei Ruto because Mr. Amin has no role in whatever is happening in Isiolo, because as members of county assembly we felt that the governor has failed us. That's how we came together and the impeachment process started.
They choose to march there and lay flowers outside the gate. It is their house, they're entitled to do so. Stop this fear mongering, brother.
Pesa yenu inatumika vibaya. Tukiangalia NDP, Annual Development Plan ya miaka 2. Kuna funjaring ya maendeleo katika wodi yangu ile nimeona. Kuna barabara inaitwa Wabera Ward. Wabera Ward ni ya kabro. Kutoka kwa nami mpaka geti ya Wabera Primary School. Hiyo ndio barabara inaitwa Wabera Ward. Lakini iliwekewa 3.8 billion road was clearing Wabera Ward. Wabera Road. Which is illegal. 2 billion imepotea. Inaandikwa miradi kwa makaratasi lakini haijafanyika.
And commemorate with their children. May God bless us tomorrow as we march.
Cha ajabu, last week tulikuwa Isiolo kuweka the second notice of motion na
wherever you go, nothing lasts like mom's love.
At this point in time, may I invite my brother P.S. Rombe to pass a vote of thanks.
last week on Wednesday, my murder was planned by the state, but fortunately it failed. I say this because we had a special motion which was being tabled, notice of motion which was being tabled. And beforehand, because we knew the character of our governor, we wrote and called all the security agencies within Isiolo, including the Inspector General, the Deputy Inspector General, the Regional Police Command, to ask for security. They all assured us of the security. Officers came, but they did nothing, absolutely nothing. To the extent that my office said,
And on that day,
to the extent absolutely nothing.
There was no complainant. On that particular incident in Isiolo. We also realized that the officers at this station had no record of any of the facts that occurred last week. With that regard, we were able to respond to their queries with a short statement indicating that it will be